Okay, it is 9:20 a.m. The 15th of January 21, and 10 minutes till the market open. CHRA, this is a first day. We have a first day that broke out of a range, and we have a second day right here, OBSV. These are all good looking charts today. I believe it is a Friday. Yep, it's a Friday, so not the best to be short today. Overall markets are down 0.5%, which might have some kind of an influence because it broke an uptrending range that it was in recently. So that's not the best for that. I'll keep looking at these stocks. CHRA doesn't seem to have a bad long-term chart unless we go really far. Volume is the most it's ever traded. This stock could run a lot. It's all going to depend. AVGR. I guess this one, yeah, this is the one that broke out of a range. I'd say 145 would be a good level of support. I did notice that it had a bit of a struggle here when it got to that level, but it was successful, and then it dipped right at the 60s level. Could you imagine that? The top of the previous day. Pretty impressive. Now breaking out, well, maybe breaking out the previous high in the 80s. So just have to watch this. OBSV, this is a second day stock. Maybe it'll continue the momentum. It did put up a higher high. We'll just have to see for now. I do have a bunch of OTCs for number 5s, but none of them I really want to trade if it does drop a lot, except for maybe CYDY. Okay, it's 9:35 a.m. This looks too easy. I mean, it doesn't have to work out, but this looks like a head and shoulders is forming. I could even take a buy if I wanted, spike towards the 180s, but I'm not doing that because I've been burned on that type of setup when I start trying to predict a reversal on a downtrending stock. But if it makes a head and shoulders, I'll be interested. It would just seem way too easy if it does, especially now that it made a lower low from here. I mean, it's the same level, but a wick to a candle is definitely a downtrend. It makes a spike maybe towards the 80s, get a short in the 80s, risk off that level. Would rather not risk $2, and that would be a short, and maybe the stock fades the rest of the day, or maybe it doesn't. You could say it's a bit blown up. First red day on this very crazy uptrend, a number 4 with a head and shoulders. We'll see if it makes a right shoulder. I'll definitely keep looking. It's the only stock that I'm really looking at right now. AVGR. Okay, it is 9:43 a.m. Here's the thing with AVGR. It didn't make a shoulder. Maybe I was thinking too. Maybe I was being too greedy. But I thought several times that, man, 170 is just really not, letting it go through. It's really the level 2 was really heavy, dumping shares on the bid and lots of sellers on the ask. But if you want to call it, it did a head and shoulders here, just a very small shoulder, nothing like this. Still pretty impressive. Now the thing was that I was not going to short anywhere there, because in the 60s, because that's the top of the wick here. So for me to have tried shorting anywhere here is so close to that level of support that it held, that it could have easily have caused it to start bouncing. So for that reason, I didn't go short. And even if I went short, like in the first red candle here in the 66s, it could go to 62, 63, that level of support, and bounce. And then where are you going to risk it off of? I guess the top of the shoulder here, because I'm not going to risk it there or there. That's too much. I'll keep looking at this stock. As much as I don't want to go short, If the opportunity is just so nice, I'm going to consider it. CHRA, maybe I should have been short this guy instead. OBSV, it's a nice spike here. I haven't seen it. Kind of broke the range at 379. For it to go back all the way back here for a confirmed breakout, that will be too bearish for me. I'll definitely keep looking. Another stock, OZSC, did a very small number 5. Maybe it's not so small, 37 cents to 30 cents. Looks like now it's at 32, so almost a 10% move. I was too busy looking at AVGR to trade this, but this is another nice number 5. Alright, it's a 950, in theory CYDY number 5 here, but people are stacking up, at least as market makers, multiple market makers at close levels. The thing that kept me from wanting to buy is that it has not dropped very much for me to consider it as a number 5. Although it looks nice from 540 to 515, that is that's not even, that's like 5%. So it would have had to have dropped more. Maybe it'll keep dropping, but I am looking at it. OBSV downtrended. It held actually didn't get as low as the breakout level, but it made several wicks, which is actually kind of bullish. Maybe it'll try again the previous high, maybe not. AVGR, maybe it'll make a head and shoulders. It is doing a little bit of the consolidation it was doing here. It could definitely do that, but not something at the moment that's ready for trading. CHRA just keeps fading, and it's only like 5%, so it's not even that much to hold through all of that. Maybe this CYDY thing is done. It'll just keep up to number 5. Who knows what it'll do? Again, didn't buy this one just because of the fact that it didn't drop that much. Alright, maybe just a few seconds later, just wanted to know that TLSS potential number 5, if you look at a multi-day chart, 5 pennies is a very strong level of support here, here. I mean, it's a very significant level. Yeah, very significant level. The problem is the same with CYDY, is that it just hasn't dropped that much. This one is a bit better. It dropped almost, yeah, it dropped 10%, but it's just not that much range either. This one could do a nice spike though. It could even go green on the day, who knows, but you know, potential number 5 might be forming here. I won't be trading it. Again, it's just not down that much to consider it. Okay, it's 9:59. I do have some more temptation to short. Here's the thing, it might be making a mini head and shoulders right here. It will all depend, but it will be maybe off the 164 level. Could be higher, lower highs being made, so that could be a nice fade. Crack of the 160s, the wick off of this level, and it could be a nice downtrend from there. I don't see why I shouldn't do it, and I can just risk it off 67. $161 is a level of support, but if it makes a mini head and shoulders here, it might be all it needs to go with the downtrend. Volume is definitely fading, but if it picks up, that would not be in my favor as a short seller. We'll keep looking. Maybe I'll try to crack 64 here, and maybe I'm taking too long to take an execution. I don't know. And that's the chair, by the way, that's not me. I'll keep looking. Potential short. Maybe I'm taking too long to react. We'll see. Okay, it's 10:03, maybe just a little later. Disappointing, but You know, it was pretty immediate, this whole drop here to the 154, so I'm not sure how much that is percentage wise, but you know, that's pretty nice that it was able to do that. You know, maybe a 5% move right here, and this thing can continue fading the rest of the day. Yeah, it was just a nice head and shoulders, right side of a head and shoulders. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. Pretty disappointing. I could also just short, risking it off a higher, just do higher, lower high setups, just a short, and then maybe just phase the rest of the day. But you know, I might be trying to push it there. Maybe not. We'll see. I did take out CHRA because it was just fading. Nothing really to trade there in terms of a strategy. It did crack this previous level here, pre-market in the 380s. Pretty bearish here, but I don't necessarily want to short this. It's going to have support throughout the entire thing. Much stronger support levels than AVGR, if you ask me. We'll have to keep looking. I guess if it makes another shoulder in the high 60s, maybe a short, risking off this level at 164, but I probably missed my shot there. Alright, it is 10:11. I'm probably late to this, but BNGO potential head and shoulder, shoulder, head, shoulder, probably already doing the pattern. It is shortable. I guess the ideal range would have been the 870s, risk off the top of the wicks here at 885. Ideally, you get an ability to cut losses there. OBSV did not do the fall-off breakout over the day high. It did a nice fade from the 4s to the 3s. AVGR disappointing, but you know, at least I was right. You know, I was definitely right on taking the setup. It could have broken the shoulder level, sure, but if it would have broken 64, you know, I'd have 67 right here, another level of resistance. If I wanted to be lazy and not cut losses, I would have that level that I could try to risk off of. But it would just maybe prevent a huge spike momentum, having another level of resistance right there. So many red candles, just 3 green candles from this whole downtrend. That was pretty nice of it. So yeah, and Mr. Bingo, looks like it did play out the head and shoulders. The problem here is that, you know, it's making a higher low off of this level here in the 820s, so it can try the uptrend again. I'll keep watching BNGO, AVGR. Unfortunately, I missed out. Maybe if it spikes a lot, I could short again, risking it's playing a lower high setup, but that's all I got for right now. It's already 10:12. Monday's gonna be Martin Luther King Day, so stock market, I think everything is closed. Other than that, I'll keep looking. Alright, it is 10:16 a.m. The issue here with Bingo is that if it makes like a lower high setup right here, and then it bounces to the 840s, I mean, this could make a triangle right here, and I don't want to be inside of a triangle because it could, you know, go either way. I mean, I guess if it's a descending triangle towards the 840 breakdown, it could definitely do that, but I've seen them just not do what they're supposed to do. Like ascending triangles has a big red candle, and descending triangles makes a big green candle, so I'm gonna have to take that into consideration. This is much riskier than AVGR. Let me get this back the way it was, which keeps fading, unfortunately, but hey, at least I was right. I just gotta keep getting better. OBSV, nothing I want to trade. Yeah, BNGO maybe could make some kind of a triangle if it starts uptrending, downtrending within this 867 range to the 840s possibly. OTCs are not doing so good. ALPP, just nothing. That's nothing to trade. VDR, Tim's favorite stock, just fades, so that's not a good setup. OZSC, down 20%. It did make that number 5 setup pretty nicely that I looked at earlier at 3 cents. Now having a follow-up downtrend, failed the. You see, here's another one that fails a potential double bottom. It just seems like that might be a short strategy. I don't know. It did do a bounce after that drop again, but that was less predictable because it was later in the day. Two of them in the same day might be kind of spooky, and it didn't seem like there was much opportunity to get in because it did it at the same candle. TLSS, again, this one didn't drop very much, so this was a crappy number 5. But I guess it did do one in theory. AOYI, very tiny. Again, this one didn't drop too much either, so not the best bounce on that stock. And yeah, these are the OTCs. Gonna keep watching BNGO. I might not even trade it, but I'll watch it. Definitely looks like it could be forming a triangle right here, a symmetrical triangle. It can go either direction, which is why I'm not going to be short or long. I'll record and see what happens later. No setups right now. You know, happy I was right with AVGR. Was a good setup. It could have failed though, but you know, it was very nice. Okay, it's 1022 BNGO. This one works just fine. Descending triangle, 840 level, lower highs. Nice crack towards 840 now in the 8 teens, give or take. Actually broke this neckline right here at 828, which is pretty impressive. Here's the problem with this stock, BNGO. I mean, it's still a long way to go. I mean, not really 20 cents, but major support right here in the the mid 80s, the $7 mid 80s, and the 770s. Plenty of support that it could hold. Keyword could. Might not even get there. Might try to hold 8. We'll see. Pretty impressive though. This big, another head and shoulders to look at. Sure, I could have shorted definitely here, but I just, you know, need to keep working, gaining more confidence. Not pridefulness or being proud, but more confidence. You know, to pull the trigger, whether I'm right or wrong. Yeah, just need to get better at that. Although AVGR was a much simpler pattern, this could make, in theory, a inverse head and shoulders. Not going to really trade that. The momentum is not the same as it was. Look at the difference here from this drop to this drop, here to here, here to here, and then we have a tiny drop. They could try to reverse, so I mean, it could still fail, but I'm not going to be short that. OBSV, nice spike back. I guess an inverse head and shoulders here, in theory. Nice bounce off of 8s. I'll definitely keep looking, but no setups, just a lot of learning, and I think I should be happy enough with that, you know, to get better every single day. Alright, it is a 1033 OBSV, really not the best, but it could also be a head and shoulders here, shoulder, head, and maybe it makes a shoulder, shoulder level, resistance here, resistance here, resistance here, resistance here. The issue is we'll have support here, the neckline. We'll have major support in the 340s. Short seller's dream, if it cracks 340, that could really downtrend. SPY is doing, I guess, better than where it was just a few minutes ago, but it's pretty down, you know, almost 1%. Maybe it'll rebound all the way back. It's done that before. But SPY, the overall market's being down a bunch, even though it's not perfect, could definitely influence and create more opportunities on the short side. AVGR, impressive, continues to fade. I doubt I would have held even if I shorted here. Probably might have covered in here. Still nice, you know, you learn from it. Mr. BNGO did the head and shoulders too, and it's bouncing from the 8s. For a moment it looked like it was going to head right back to where it was previously. Again, potential short but I'm gonna have to be very cautious. Maybe only 200 shares, 300 shares max perhaps. I'll have to keep looking. You know, potential, and then I can just hold it off the risk off of 380. Clear level of resistance, clear cut losses quickly level. And if I'm right on all the other head and shoulder setups, and this one, you know, just happens to be the one that fails, that's too bad, you know. I just keep going at it. That's all you can do. Okay, it's 10:37. It did have a kind of a big price movement on such a little bit of volume. It got as high as 76. In theory, it could have shorted at that level, but it downtrended in this candle, which now looks like a green candle immediately. And at this point, if this doesn't downtrend and crack the 370, 369 level right about now, this could just be consolidation, and that could definitely be a bullish movement. If it consolidates, shows that it can consistently hold this level and do some kind of a breakout. So in terms of how much time it has for, you know, the head and shoulders to play out, it doesn't have much, doesn't have too much time left. It would have to really do it like right about now, like very quickly. If not, this thing could continue the uptrend. SPY is done with the uptrend. I mean, it could keep going, but it looks like it might try to head back down, which would be in favor. But again, this stock does not have much time left. I guess if it wants to make a clearer shoulder, perhaps, but if it's just going to be doing this up and down at the same level, that could easily just be consolidation, and they might just do an uptrend. AVGR finally did an uptrend right at this level. Now going to be resistance. I might short this. I don't know. I would like to go short and hold for a long time just to learn from that aspect, even if it's not going to make any money, or I lose money in the end. We'll have to keep looking. Volume keeps fading on this. I'll definitely keep looking, but this is taking a bit too long. It would have to do it pretty quickly. Otherwise, it could be a very bullish sign. Alright, it is 10:42 a.m. Almost went short OBSV. Like I said, you know, if it was taking too long for it to make a head and shoulders pattern to the point that, you know, it looked like it was uptrending, not uptrending, but it looked like it was consolidating. And I remember, I think it was this candle, or I forgot which one it was, but just a little bit of volume, like later in the shoulder, just a little bit of green volume moved the stock so much towards the upside. This is a very impressive short squeeze. Up to the 390s, maybe ideally you take a short here and it's going to fade because it was just a short squeeze. I don't know. That could be possible. AVGR keeps fading, although it does seem like it might try to reverse. BNGO made a follow-up spike to this very strong level of the 880s, but it is trying to put up a higher low, so that's good. I'll keep looking until, I mean, I'm probably not going to trade anything, but I will definitely keep looking until my mind is completely fried, perhaps. I learned a lot. I called so many moves today. I just did not trade any of them. Called moves to trade, called moves not to trade. Salty, definitely salty. I didn't short here. Just going to clearly risk it off of the shoulder level at 64. And even if that cracks, 67. It's not like it fails. You know, the head and shoulders fails big squeeze like Mr. OBSV. Resistance was everywhere for this type of stock. It traded with much less volatility. Shoulder head, not a perfect shoulder. When I first saw this, I thought here it might make another shoulder, but the 170s was clearly a level of resistance. Lots of people on the ask, lots of people dumping their shares on the bid. Led to this nice downtrend. Mr. CHRA is a piece of crap. If I was a degenerate, I would have just shorted randomly, be like, it's gonna fade the rest of the day. I might even do stuff like that just to practice trading all kinds of setups, you know, continuously learning and improving and getting better. Really nothing to look at anymore. I might call it off, but I'll probably keep looking at these stocks. I'd like to see what happens eventually to OBSV. I'll make an update later in the day. I might just call it off, or I might just keep watching but not trade anything, even if I see the perfect setup, just in case that my mind might be fried so I don't make the best choices. But just a really good Friday. Missed AVGR, salty, definitely salty. Mr. BNGO did miss the head and shoulders here. It didn't drop too much, but it was, you know, a setup that was there that I could have taken. I'll just have to keep looking. I can't get too upset, you know. At least it means I still have a lot to learn than for me to think that I know everything and, you know, ask myself, why isn't this working? I still got a lot to learn. I'm calling more shots. Hopefully I can turn them into trades, and the ones that I do trade work out. That's all I have for right now. Alright, it is 1:01 p.m. It's just going to be a recap for today. I'm going to call it off here. I haven't really been looking at the markets too much, but AVGR eventually, I guess the short sellers or the selling just finally kind of faded. I'd say around 10:45 it made a first higher low after its continuous downtrend. Just I guess here was one, but it failed initially. Here was the first higher low and then higher high off of this range. It made a nice uptrend from, I guess, the 140s to as high as 167 before it made another lower high, and it started this downtrend. No longer tradable. Still salty that I missed out on the short here. I had plenty of chances to make a decent profit there. I had no excuse. Next time is literally no excuse. And OBSV, well, eventually kind of try to not hide, but hold above this breakout level. Not a so perfect dip there, but it was able to hold and make a nice bounce from there. It kind of made a lower low, and then it started making higher lows, higher highs. Nothing I really wanted to trade besides maybe this, but it wasn't too perfect, so it might have even scared me out of it. BNGO, it's just uptrending, nothing really that, you know, I want to trade. It did, you know, try a bit higher. It kind of broke the shoulder range right here, but just for a little bit. Eventually it took it down, and now it's consolidating. Almost looks like a head and shoulders here, but I'm not going to trade this. Just very impressive. The OTCs were pretty wrecked. There wasn't any really good setups. CYDY, nothing nice, not a considerable drop. ALPP, just mess. BDRM, nothing that I wanted to trade. Just too gradual. Well, ZSC did a nice number 5. Well, yeah, it was nice. It could have been better though. It didn't drop that much. But this one was one of the better ones, and it did another one of those failed double bottoms like we saw yesterday. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, we already see here TLSS is actually doing a nice uptrend, but you know, this is like that AOPP number 5 that just, you know, uptrended the rest of the day. Those are always scary to hold. But it's nice to see one that doesn't look too bad. It wasn't an immediate bounce, but it did uptrend. ALYI, I guess it did one, but it was later in the day. It did one here. I didn't like it because it was too small. This was much better. It didn't do much of a bounce because it was later in the day. It wasn't a perfect setup. So yeah, that's all I got. A lot of head and shoulders. A lot of head and shoulders. Will not, at least less likely, I will not miss a setup something like this again. Very, very nice to look at. I just have to keep going at it.